The telecoms industry has been talking up the potential of edge computing for years, but now it's starting to become a reality and a strategic imperative for network operators as 5G strategies mature. Well, to find out more, I'm talking today with Sanjay Uppal, SVP and GM, Service Provider and Edge Business Unit at VMware, and Dan Rodriguez, Corporate Vice President and GM of the Network Platforms Group at Intel. So welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us today. Sanjay, let's start with you. Can you please tell us about VMware's definition of the edge?
Yes, there's been a lot of talk of the edge, and you do get many definitions from different people. So, what VMware is saying is that the edge is distributed digital infrastructure spread across a number of locations for running workloads. And these locations are close to where the endpoints are either producing or consuming data.
And what do CSPs need to be successful in supporting edge architectures and enterprise requirements?
Yeah. So if you think back to the definition of the edge, since this edge has to be close to where the endpoints are producing or consuming data, what this requires CSPs to do is to orient themselves to supporting compute services along with the network and storage services where the endpoints are located. So the requirements there for CSPs, the first thing is really looking at the process in terms of installation, configuration, operations, and maintenance of all these edge locations. Just take the example of one of our customers, which is a large retail store, a store chain that has 10,000 locations that are spread around the world. Now, if you take compute and you put it in 10,000 locations, installation of the edge stack, the operations of the edge stack after the configurations, and the maintenance of the edge stack is something that CSPs need to concentrate on. Now, the other thing that CSPs, of course, need to do is to put in the infrastructure that will allow them to automate these processes. And the third thing that CSPs need to do is to reorient their business teams to be able to sell this basket of services, which we simply call edge as a service.
Okay, excellent. Now, Sanjay, why is innovation so critical at the edge right now? How do you help businesses, whether they're old or new, to leverage the availability of this edge technology?
Right. So, as you were pointing out earlier, we're at a pretty critical junction here in the industry in terms of where the edge is. There were several rounds of investment to figure out how to take advantage of the fact that workloads are moving to the edge. So, when you take a look at all of the workloads, today the workloads run in the private data center, they do run in the public cloud, but now these workloads are migrating to the edge. The reason for the workloads to migrate to the edge is because there are new business applications that are coming in. There are new business processes that are coming in. We've all heard of digital transformation. Well, the underpinning of digital transformation is the network transformation as well, particularly when businesses transact at their locations and you have these very large numbers of locations, then that is where the edge is, and that is where business is being transacted. So this is where the innovation needs to happen. Now, when you talk of digital transformation across a number of locations, the numbers of locations are always connected together by a network. And it is those places where innovation needs to come in at different layers of the stack. So let's walk through what those layers of the stack are. The first layer, which we call the underlay, is where the actual network is. And of course, most of the action right now is happening at the 5G layer. So in 5G, the RAN is disaggregating, and innovation is needed there so that each of the portions of the disaggregation can work together, but yet have enough feature velocity that we are providing these services that the next layer above needs. So first layer, RAN disaggregation, along with what's happening at the core, and Dan and us are working together in terms of providing that for the service providers that are out there either doing greenfield or brownfield deployments. So the existing ones, you call them brownfield deployments, and there are several of them that are modernizing their network. The greenfield ones, there are some out there that are designing and deploying an entire 5G network from scratch based on what's known as ORAN principles. The next layer above is what we call the SASE layer. This is the secure access service edge layer. And innovation there means that you're taking what is on-prem, on the premises of an enterprise, like a network function or a security function or even a compute function and moving that into the edge cloud and running that as a service. So innovation there really means moving what was on-prem, you would buy it in a perpetual license or buy a piece of hardware and then depreciate it, but that becomes a subscription and a service, which is where enterprises need to go. And the third layer where the innovation is happening is at the edge native application itself. And you take an example of a retail store. A consumer walks into a retail store. The retail store can check what that consumer had purchased before, what is their propensity to buy something now. They might even manufacture the thing if it's not available in inventory in the store. And then the consumer then tries on that good that they have bought, and they can in fact have an interaction with, let's say, a sportsman of their choice in a large video screen that is an interactive screen in the store. This is entirely new. This is something that is going to change the experience of the user. So we're going from outcomes to experiences, and the network is very much a part of this. So to summarize, innovation is at three different layers: at the underlay, at the overlay layer, and at the edge application layer. And all three are coming together right now, which makes this a really exciting time in the industry.
Yes, it really does. Sort of massive potential for innovation across the entire ecosystem there. Now, Dan, let's come to you. Can you provide your view on 5G and Edge?
Yes. So we consider 5G and Edge as really two key technology inflection points that are really going to shape not only industries for years to come, but also serve as a technology foundation. And when you think about 5G, and you think about it by itself, it has the possibilities to deliver all sorts of low latency services, as well as also high bandwidth applications. And that in it of itself really turns up a huge opportunity or enables a big opportunity to build out computing and new use cases at the edge. So whether comm service providers see this, they see this as an opportunity when they roll out their 5G networks to set up those networks in a way that they can not only deliver network services, which you would expect, but also be able to deliver new AI-based edge services from a variety of locations and have the capabilities to really shift those workloads around to whenever and kind of wherever they need it to deliver the best result for their customers. In addition to this, we all know there's tons of data out there. So with edge compute, it provides the opportunity to truly tap into that data, turn that data into useful insights, and create kind of powerful experiences for both consumers and businesses alike, enabling to help them deliver better TCO as well as better top line and bottom line results for their companies. And we do see this impacting a wide variety of industries, whether that's factory floors, retail, events, healthcare, or education. So we're truly bullish on both 5G and Edge, and you can see them working side by side together.
Now, we've already heard from Sanjay about innovation in the industry. How are partnerships driving innovation? And how is Intel working with VMware to accelerate hardware and software innovation?
Yes. So first, when you think about what we're trying to do with 5G and Edge, it's all about creating a robust and open ecosystem. So we need partners in the industry truly innovating at all layers of the stack, whether it's hardware, whether it's software, or whether it's at the actually delivering the service itself. So we are innovating as a company ourselves within Intel. We're also innovating directly with VMware. So when you think about that partnership with VMware, you of course think about Intel and delivering all sorts of new silicon capabilities, whether that's I/O, whether that's compute, whether that's AI, or whether that's security. So we work with VMware as well as the broader ecosystem to ensure that those features are able to be able to support it at launch across from VMware's platforms, but also across a wide variety of ecosystem players that will work on top of VMware solutions. And you consider the work that we're doing with VMware. The work we're doing with VMware stretches both on-premise locations as well as off-premise or the network edge. And in that journey, we're delivering strong enterprise edge solutions, where those solutions are built on top of Atom class machines or Xeon scalable processors to support the wide variety of use cases. Or in fact, also, partnering with Sanjay and team on how they build out that network edge, utilizing SASE services on top of a rack of Xeon scalable processors. But in addition to this, we're also, partnering with VMware on the radio access network. As Sanjay described, that network is truly becoming more and more disaggregated. So we're partnering with VMware in driving software innovations. First, from an Intel perspective, we're obviously investing in our FlexRAN reference software for vRAN. Sanjay and team are investing in many different software elements, including their Tanzu cloud platform. And together, we are pre-integrating FlexRAN with the VMware Tanzu cloud platform, validating the platform, ensuring it's meeting performance, feature capabilities. So when a customer utilizes this technology, they truly have a optimized subsystem that is ready to go out of the box, really shortening their time to market. In addition to this, kind of looking out of the future, you're going to see VMware and Intel continue to partner as Intel delivers new Xeon-based features, new NICs, new IPUs in the future, and working together on trying to deliver the right platform for really the right tasks. So essentially, service providers have the power to really move those workloads around to where they need them to solve a particular customer job and have a common hardware platform approach.
Now, the edge presents really unique and challenging limitations on computing, from power consumption to cooling and physical space. How are Intel and VMware working on solving these challenges as CSPs are looking to scale up their capacity in existing facilities?
Yes, I think let me take a step back and provide a little context. So first, we're in the era of distributed compute. Essentially, you're going to have strong computes in cloud, you're going to have strong computes in the network, and you're going to have strong computes in various different edge locations. So what this means is that you need to have a fundamental software and hardware platform that truly embraces cloud native. So what this means is really threefold. It means that you need to have composable applications that are built on a microservices approach. You need to have greater levels of automation that tap into platform telemetry, as well as have AI-driven algorithms. And then the final thing, as I mentioned earlier, is that you really need this common hardware and software platform approach. So you can truly, again, scale those workloads to do the job that's needed to be done by a wide variety of customers. So at Intel, the way we're approaching this is we're investing in a wide variety of silicon. So we're investing in everything from SoCs to Xeon scalable processors and all sorts of software to really pull out those capabilities. In addition to this, we also are offering really software optimized solutions that take advantage of cloud native principles. So you can think about FlexRAN as a great example and the partnership we have with VMware there. And then finally, we're going to continue to innovate to deliver both network services as well as compute services from the base platform. And then the partnership with VMware, again, think about that wide breadth of applications. Everything from on-premise enterprise edge applications to, as Sanjay talked about, delivering SASE from the network edge. But we're also collaborating on the wireless core network, CDNs, and of course, the radio access network. And you kind of mentioned in there the tough conditions that you sometimes find in different parts of the network that require, let's say, lower levels of power consumption as well as better cooling technologies. And probably one really strong example of that is, of course, the radio access network. And when you think about the RAN, what we're doing with VMware is enabling you to have the right compute density in the radio access network, really driving down that power consumption, but also having the right overall performance. And in that journey, Intel's investing in not only software directly with VMware, but also hardware reference solutions that take into account the ruggedized conditions that you may find in a radio access network. So I would look at the journey ahead with respect to edge computing is setting up the right software and platform foundation with cloud native principles in mind, and then having the right hardware that can scale across multiple network locations, including sometimes very tough conditions in the radio access network.
Now, we'll finish up with a question here for both of you. Of the many use cases we've been talking about over the years, what are you seeing emerging with customers in the field as they deploy edge computing? Dan, let's start with you.
Trying to be simple is that you think about there's two primary locations at the edge, and I know I'm completely oversimplifying this, but there's a network edge to think about services delivered off-prem, and then there is a wide variety of on-premise edge locations, and that could be a retail store, industrial factory floor, or perhaps some of the creative examples I'm going to give you here in a second. So let's first consider the network edge. So one of the great partnerships that we have is, of course, with VMware, but in this VMware partnership, we're also partnering with a company called Lumen. And essentially, Lumen is all about delivering a private cloud enterprise experience that has the ability to deliver low latency and high bandwidth services. And when you think about the work they've already done, they've been particularly impactful in both financial services as well as healthcare services. And in financial services, they partnered with a large financial institution that, let's just say, has billions under management. And essentially, they partner with them to kind of shift some of their centralized IT infrastructure to utilize Lumen's private cloud. And by doing this of course gives them very fast access to data, which we know is critical in the financial services industry, but also allows them to do this in a very efficient way, considering all their international locations. And then the next two examples I'm going to give you are quite unique and a little bit different. These are two on-premise examples. So the first one is it's really a kind of a 5G to farm to table example. So in this case, we've been partnering with Snohomish County in Washington, as well as our partners in the 5G Open Innovation Lab. And the whole idea here is to deliver an experience that allows this community to deliver food safely, but also securely in this farm to table type of experience. So we're advocating and investing in all sorts of commercial use cases, utilizing IoT applications. And like a few of the applications we've been doing so far really involve measuring all sorts of, let's just say, soil characteristics, whether it's temperature, moisture levels, or even oxygen levels. And we're also experimenting with helping this industry better manage both supply chain and logistics. And then the final example is really the new economics behind, believe it or not, fish analytics. And we all know when you think about the world's population, obviously the world's population continues to grow, but at the same time, there are scarce resources, land, fresh water. So when you think about this, of where we're kind of headed in the future, the way we produce food in the past is not the way we're going to produce food in the future. Take, for example, one quick part of our kind of food supply, if you will, cows. Essentially deliver just 1 pound of consumable protein. A cow must consume 6.8 pounds of protein. Now you compare that to a fish. A fish has a 1.1 to 1 ratio, or it takes 1.1 pounds of protein to deliver 1 pound of consumable protein. That's why the industry is so excited about sustainable fish farming. So we've been partnering with a company called Sinkenberg Hansen out of Norway, and essentially with that company, we've been partnering with them to drive sustainable fish farming. And in their view, what they're trying to do is try to have an efficient plan to deliver 45,000 tons of fish, which is primarily salmon in their case. So they partnered both with Telenor as well as with Nokia and Intel to be able to do this. And they're really looking at it from two kind of key aspects. The first thing is that they're creating a platform that's both based on 5G and edge. And then what they're able to do with this is both, let's say, improve the environment, but also manage their costs. So essentially, by being able to monitor the fish using video analytics, using Intel's OpenVINO platform, as well as our Xeon scalable processors, they're able to monitor the fish feeding. And then through Telenor's software, they're able to measure the size of the fish to optimally determine when they should be harvested. So essentially, at the end of the day, they know when to feed the fish, which has the ability to allow them to reduce their annual feeding costs by approximately $6 million a year. They scale this across their entire network of farms. But in addition to this, because they're also able to determine the optimal time to really harvest the fish, they can improve their top line as well. And then when you think about this, it's cost, it's top line, but it also does help the overall ocean, because we all know that when you overfeed fish, it definitely has devastating impacts on the ocean environment. So when you think about this, you can think about big network edge locations like the example I gave you with Lumen, to all sorts of creative on-premise applications that could include everything from a 5G to farm to table example, or even fish analytics in the future.
Well, great examples, Dan. You reeled me into that last one there, I have to say. Sanjay, let's come to you. Have you got any use cases that you've seen out there in the field?
Yeah, fascinating stuff from Dan. So, there's been a lot of use cases that are along the retail space, healthcare, and manufacturing. Those are the three verticals where we are finding the most traction. But let me start off with one that is somewhat related to this, which is that we have a state and local government customer in EMEA, and what they've done is they've deployed edges in their police cars. And with these, and we're talking about the edge that is a form factor that looks just like this. So this is a really small edge. It's got dense processors in this, deploying it in cars. And what's happening there is video streams are coming in real time. There's a software stack that is deployed in that edge, which we introduced very recently, called the Edge Compute Stack. And what the software is doing is taking all those video feeds, making inferences on what they're seeing in the video feeds, and then helping the person, the peace officer, identify either the person or the vehicle as they're driving by. So this is a fascinating use of compute technology at the edge. Let's take another example in the healthcare space. So what happened with the pandemic in the healthcare space is, of course, the providers and the people that needed the care, they could not meet physically. And so what we did is we outfitted a bunch of several radiologists for one of our customers. This is MD Anderson Cancer Center here in the US. And we outfitted them with our edge devices. And in this case, they were running a network service called SD-WAN. And what this helped MD Anderson Cancer Center to do is to be able to provide the best level of service, despite the fact that the provider and the consumer or the patient could not be physically in the same location. I have another example which is related more to the manufacturing space. Now, what's happening there in manufacturing is really fascinating. And Dan was saying factory floors, they're getting fully automated. And when they get fully automated, it's important to figure out what is happening on the floor as physical infrastructure is moving around. And we have these devices that are coming in now, sensors that have AI located on them that will tell you what that device, what that physical infrastructure is doing, whether it's rotating, whether it's moving linearly, whether it's moving within its bounds or not. And here's there's a fascinating new set of sensors that are coming out right now. I'm holding one actually in my hand, and these would be on the factory floor. They would produce voluminous amounts of information. Dan was talking about IoT, and what we're doing here at the edge is correlating all that information, aggregating it, and then taking an action based on that information in our edge devices. So the two places that Dan mentioned, I just wanted to corroborate, is that the far edge, which is on the enterprise prem, and this could be at the radiologist location, this could be at the factory floor, this could be in the police car. Those are all the far edge locations. And then you have the near edge locations where services are run from the edge cloud. And Lumen is a perfect example that Dan also mentioned. We do have, let me round that out by saying that there's a retail example as well. We have a customer with a very large number of gas stations. And what this customer would like to do is they would like to identify the car as it rolls into the gas station, to be able to say, has this car and even this person been here before? And what can we say to them that would make them perhaps walk into the convenience store and purchase something from this gas station? And so all of this is coming together in terms of applications in the retail space, in the manufacturing space, in the healthcare space, and certainly in state and local government with smart cities and things of that sort. And this is where the edge is really taking off. We're at the crux and the apex of all this growth that is happening at the edge.
So fantastic examples of use cases there to finish our conversation today. Sanjay, Dan, thanks very much for joining us today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ray. I think it's a fascinating time right now in the industry. So really appreciate this. And thank you, Dan, of course, for being such a close partner of ours.
Yes, thanks for inviting me on stage. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Sanjay. And I look forward to continuing to partner with you, Sanjay, to continue to deliver great innovations in the market.